slow down. Another slow down up here. Good boy. And another slow down. And another slow down. And another one. Happy Friday, everyone. We are at the Rolling Creek Trailhead, just about to start our weekend hiking segments 4 and 5. So this will be a 2-night overnight trip hiking both segments. So we plan to get about 31 miles in over the course of this weekend. Segment 4 is 16.4 miles and quite a bit of elevation gain. So we will be going up to nearly 11,000 feet during this hike. So I am prepared for a little bit colder weather and some snow still at that elevation. So my micro spikes and some of my spring and fall and winter hiking gear with me. So my bag is pretty heavy tonight. This will be our first area where we are going to be entering the Lost Creek Wilderness. And so that's where we actually plan to camp tonight. So we're going to hike in about 3 to 4 miles, trying to find a good water source and a good camp spot, and then hit the trail first thing in the morning. And total elevation gain for segment 4 is right around 3,200 feet. So that one, we definitely are going to try to get a head start in the morning just to be able to make that climb. And then we'll work our way into segment 5 tomorrow as well to try to get as far as we can within the segment. The weather is actually supposed to be almost consistently rainy this weekend or start earlier than normal, not just the typical afternoon thunderstorms. So we're definitely going to try to be at camp before 1 or 2 every day, or hiking as far, waiting it out, and then continuing on. But anyways, here we go.
We'll take a trip together now, let's go. We can chase the sun around the globe. We're gonna find a way to get out of here.
So just about 0.2 miles in, there's actually another parking lot that you'd need a 4x4 car to get to, but make sure you take a sharp right to get on the Colorado Trail because the Rolling Creek Trail number 623 is also at the top. So just look over your shoulder to the right and you will find the trail. So about 1 mile in, just under a mile, you'll come to an intersection. You go left into this old logging road, which, you know, you think they're nice because they're nice and wide, flat, but a lot of the time the terrain is rocky or the kind of sandy, gravelly, and it's actually really hard to hike in, especially when you have a climb like this. And I'll say this climb isn't that bad, but after segment 2 and 3, which let's say relatively easy, this is a good way to warm up your glutes and your quads. So definitely a lot of work. And I think I mentioned, but my pack is 40 pounds. So I've got all the food for 3 days in here and some water. So we're making our way slowly but surely. Pretty much the slow and steady incline all the way up. Sorry, buddy. So at about 1.7 miles in, that log road or logging road flattens out, and then 1.9 miles in, you'll enter the Lost Creek Wilderness. And hopefully by that time you cool off. My sweat has slowly evaporated, but you will have to fill out a permit, just one per party. It's just for tracking who goes in and out of the wilderness. There's no fee or anything, so pretty simple. Just make sure you fill that out. And yeah, we are slowly gonna start scoping out our campsite for the evening. We still got about 2.5 hours of sunlight, so I think we can make it to that 4-mile spot to be able to set up camp, get some water, eat some dinner, hang up our bear stuff, and then have a good night.
See the light of a new day dawning. Feel the love from a beating heart. And catch a ride to the top of the world. This is where we start. No, we can't make it last forever. We gotta use all the time we have. And you know that we'll never say never if we ever get the chance. And it's good to be alive. It's good to be alive.
So, at about 2.4 miles in, there's actually a really good looking campsite. Someone's built up a little log bench and it's nice and flat, so tents and the hammocks in that area, but it's a dry campsite and no seasonal water, at least in the first 2.5 miles. So if you're coming over from segment 3, make sure you fill up your water at that creek that's about 1/2 mile from the trailhead, because that's your last water source for a while. I know. So haven't seen anything yet, and this is still early season, so if there is gonna be any seasonal water, it's gonna be now. So 2.6 miles in, there is a little seasonal creek that's still flowing, and then you come upon this pretty aspen area. No leaves yet, but I can imagine this is just really beautiful in the fall.
Let me be your guide to follow, and you'll always feel the love. And it's good to be alive. It's good to be alive. This feeling's running high. Life is calling, and the world is beautiful.
So at about 3.2 miles, he'll come to the Payne Creek Trail junction. And I actually hiked part of the Payne Creek Trail last year. It wasn't that great of a hike, honestly. But I didn't really recommend it. But it does make part of a great Lost Creek Wilderness Loop, which I'll put a link in that route in the description below. So you can take the Payne Creek, get on the Colorado Trail, and then get on the McGurdy or McGurdy Trail, and it makes a great 27-mile loop. So a good weekend hike where you can hike in and camp a couple miles in the beginning and then hit 12, 13 miles a day for the weekend. So anyways, I routed that and made it available in my profile on the TREX app. So if you're interested in that, it's a good loop. You don't have to worry about a pickup or drop off at a trailhead, and goes through the Lost Creek Wilderness.
Life is calling, yeah, life is calling. Life is calling, the world is beautiful. 'Cause life is calling, and the world.
So we've gone about 3.8 miles, and there was a seasonal creek with a camp spot that was sort of my first choice, but there's actually someone there. So we just said hi and are moving on. There is definitely one, according to the data book, in about 0.8 miles, so not too much further to go, at Craig Creek, and that should have definitely reliable water source. So hopefully, more scat. I've actually been seeing a lot of mountain lion scat, so I'm keeping an eye out, making some noise where I can. But anyway, sorry, Craig Creek, reliable water source, and should have, I think, more than one camp spot. So almost there. And this area is pretty flat, so pretty good. Sun is kind of going in and out, so I think the rain is going to hold off for the evening, maybe a drizzle overnight. But as long as I can set up my tent before it comes, I'm good to go. So It's a little bit difficult finding a campsite. So the campsites right down by the Craig Creek are right before the creek crossing, but there's actually 2 other people here who took the flattest spots, so I was a little late to the party. So we're a little bit on a hill, and it's amazing that you think you pick a flat spot, and then once you set up your tent and get into it, how much you think you're gonna slide around in the middle of the night. So I'm sure Remy's gonna end up on my sleeping pad in the middle of the night just because of the slight slant here. But did our camp chores, and now I actually still have to still have to blow up my sleeping pad. But wanted to get Remy his dinner, filter some water, get everything set up, get the bear bag. Like I said, cache, not really hung. And then I have an Ursack too. So what I've done is like put my food and all the super smelly stuff in the Ursack, and then toiletries and my cook pot and stuff. I just did a normal bear bag with a odor-proof sack. But yeah, got here about an hour before the sun was starting to set, and then pretty much had dinner right when it's setting, and then brushed my teeth, and now I'm just gonna read and try to fall asleep. And probably in the morning, I'm just gonna try to get an early start. Maybe just have a protein bar. Ooh, looks like it's starting to drizzle, so we got into the tent just in time. Yeah, so maybe just have a protein bar and some coffee, and then start hiking. Anyways, we'll see you in the morning. Good morning, everybody. We just wanted to get out of the campsite area so we wouldn't be as loud, but we are just starting our hike. I'm still really slow in packing up in the morning, so I'm trying to see what I do to improve that. But just to note that there are campsites after that Craig Creek if you just walk up a bit of the ways, a little bit flatter, better probably for the tents. So just wanted to warn people about that. But we've got about 12 miles to go on segment 4 until we reach the end. But about 3,000 feet of elevation gain. We did about 2,000 feet. We did about 1,200 yesterday coming in, and we're just about to start our climb. So I figured before I start huffing and puffing and sweating, I just introduce you guys for the morning. And the weather right now is beautiful. It's about 43 degrees outside. I think it's gonna get the high of 67, but there is a bunch of exposure area kind of in this open valley at about 8 miles in. So we've got about 4 miles to do that. So we should get there by 10 a.m., which will be a little bit perfect for us to cross through that section. Anyways, just gonna get our hike started. So here we go. So about half a mile into our trek today, which would be about 5 miles in. Pretty big blowdown right here, so we're gonna try to find another way around.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay?
So about 5.5 miles in to the segment, you reach a sign, and I think it's a reroute. It tells you to hook a left, and definitely hook a hard left to find the trail. It doesn't look like there's been much activity and a lot of blowdown, so it's kind of confusing, but luckily we have it routed in our GPS, but it's very difficult to actually find the trail. So we're taking it slow and careful. We're at about 10,003 in elevation. And I think we have 10,006 until we start a descent, and then climb back up to 10,9. The route finding has been actually pretty hard on this one just because there is snow on the ground still. It's above 10,000, all very manageable without microspikes, but you just have to definitely stop, look around, and see if you can see traces of footprints or trekking poles as you're climbing this part of the trail.
All your hopes and dreams that light the way. We control our fate. Destiny awaits. We are all the actors in the stories we create.
Looks like another blowdown up here. Okay, Rem, Come on. Good boy. Good jump.
This is the time we form the chorus. Left your voice for those before us.
So we've only gone about 2.3 miles today. Trail's kind of kicking my butt this morning. We're 1.7 miles per hour. See that big incline. We're kind of, I guess, flattening out here, but the snowpack above 10.5 has been a little bit cumbersome. Probably be gone in about a month. But again, trail finding, snowpack, blowdowns, early season, so no trail maintenance yet. So just a little bit tougher of a route than the other 3 segments so far. So we might end up taking our break a little bit earlier than expected, but I definitely want to get through that valley before noon, just to make sure we don't have all that extreme sun exposure. Anyways, carrying on.
Watch me now, I feel the spotlight shining down. Everything's alright, standing proud. We'll make the walls come down. You will know that we can make our lives.
Now this is what I'm talking about. Nice and flat. We're at about 10.49. So there's a couple of good camp spots up there, but definitely be dry camping, so keep that in mind. And another blowdown. See how Remy handles this one. He's usually a pretty good jumper. Okay. And another blowdown. Okay, go bud. Which way are you gonna go? Probably have to squeeze. Probably have to squeeze. I'll go first. So we just left the Lost Creek Wilderness, and I think we have about 4 miles until we actually enter it again. Yeah, definitely a relief to have that flat area and sort of slow descent right after you make that big climb, and trying to pick up my pace a little bit so I can finish that exposed area in, I don't know, hour and a half. I'm gonna try to book it, but we'll see. It's been a little bit more difficult than I thought, especially early season. And this is the end of May, so I consider early season until probably end of June, because especially at the higher elevations, we can get snow and it's so cold through until the end of June. So just keep that in mind if you are hiking this in June. You still could see some snowpack. Temperatures are going to be in the high 30s, low 40s at night, especially above 9,000 feet in elevation. Okay, correction. It looks like we will skirt the boundaries of the wilderness area actually until the end of the segment. So that's another 8.5 miles to go for today. And then once we reach Long Gulch trailhead, we enter back into the wilderness. So this should be Bison Mountain, not Buffalo Mountain. Buffalo Mountain. It's like right over here. And then it sits at about 12,300 feet, and behind that should be McCurdy Mountain, which is at about 12,100 feet. We're stopped underneath this tree, so some shade, but this section has definitely been, as Remy would put it, relentless. Need some more fuel and water. Wow. We've only gone like 8 miles today, and it feels like I've gone 14 or 15. Just starting out with that climb and then this exposure area. It's pretty brutal. Wasn't expecting it to be like this, but just preparing you guys when you do segment 4. So we're back underneath tree line again, but there's a ton of blowdowns. We're about 10 miles today, so it would have been 14-ish miles. 2 miles from the trailhead. I'm just trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go next. GARMIN tells me to go right, but it looks like the path goes left where people were walking. So we'll see. We might be here for a little bit. Just showing you where I'm trying to navigate. And another one. I might have to go up this way. All right, Rem, you ready for this challenge? Guess what, guys? See that behind me? Another blowdown. So, just finished segment 14. No, we just finished segment 4. And so I'll mark that off for another 16.4 miles of our 500 miles of fun in 2021. But first, it's the Colorado Trail Disco Dance Party.
Someone's playing disco music, and now